welcome to this week's edition of the Pete Mezzetti Show. My guest tonight is John Ferraro, Executive Director of Literacy Volunteers Valley Shore. John, welcome. How are you?
Hey, Peter, good. Doing
Evening.
well.
So for my viewers and listeners that don't know, who is John Ferraro and what exactly is Literacy Volunteers Valley Shore?
Well, it's more important to know what Literacy Volunteers Valley Shore is than
who John Ferraro is. John Ferraro is the IDIOT of LVVS.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
There you go.
Literacy Volunteers Valley Shore is celebrating its 37th year in business, and our mission is to teach Valley Shore residents to improve their English reading, writing, and speaking skills, and by doing that, to improve their life and work skills.
Excellent, excellent. Now, how long has Literacy Volunteers been around?
Well,
37 years.
37 years.
All right.
We were originally formed in 1979, incorporated in 1980, and we moved to the location that we're currently in, Westbrook's Public Library,
right,
in 1982. So it's been a pretty good run. We've been very fortunate to have a great relationship with the town of Westbrook and Westbrook Library over the course of those years, and it's been kind of an anchor for us, a great place to have services and to meet with our clients.
Now, how many towns do you guys service?
There's 11 towns, stretching from Guilford to Old Lyme,
all right,
and north to Chester.
Wow.
So it's a pretty big geographic area.
Okay. Now, as far as if somebody wants to sign up as a tutor or has an idea of for somebody to become a tutor or needs your services, how does that happen, and when the tutor and the student meet, what normally happens?
It's a couple of different questions.
Okay.
First, our tutors come to us from a variety of different sources. In fact, we do get some from school systems, teachers who may be retiring, but we get more from the general public, people who come to us through referrals or items that we put in the paper, outreach events that we do at Chambers of Commerce, Rotaries, Days on the Green.
Yep.
This time of year, it's fairs, which is really big for us.
Right.
And we encourage them to, if they're interested in tutoring, to take one of our two sessions that we run in the fall and in the spring. These are 7-session workshops that cover everything from the adult learner, what that looks like, creating lesson plans, doing things that are activities that will help a student either learn grammar, learn vocabulary, or to extend their vocabulary to things like getting a GED, getting a driver's license, opening a bank account, those sorts of things. Our students come to us from virtually everywhere. Other students who refer them to us, schools who may refer either the students that are going to schools who need English language learning, or their parents who may have a hard time, who may be new immigrants and need to learn English to understand what their teachers are sending home.
Exactly.
So we do get some from churches, social service agencies, a number of other sources. When they come together, tutors and students work out a schedule that works for them. We do an initial intake assessment, the staff does, and determine where the particular needs of the student are, and give sort of a profile to the tutor so that they can get a quick start in tutoring the student in their immediate needs. Over the course of time, the tutor will work with the student to establish goals a little bit longer term, and that usually helps them to put together a curriculum that will help them in the long run achieve the students' goals. We do have a workplace literacy program as well, where we work with employers and employees to boost their productivity through literacy activities that help them. I need to mention something that I missed before. These services we offer are completely free.
Yes.
They're held in complete confidence,
Right.
so that there's no risk of embarrassment for the student. And it's something that we offer to anyone without a means test or without any pre-qualification.
Okay. Now, what we also should probably mention that we didn't mention before, you probably have a staff of thousands and, and millions.
Actually, we have 2 paid part-time staff.
You do?
Which I am one.
All right.
And we have Joanne Argersinger, who is the administrative assistant.
Right.
And we couldn't function in the office without our volunteer,
Not me.
Senior aide Liz Steffen, who is also a board member, our board secretary, our in-house chef, our resident do-everything go-to gal. So,
and I guess she keeps an eye on both of us if we're,
absolutely.
if we're in the office
Absolutely.
together. She makes sure we don't get too out of hand.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, she has to.
She's supposed to, yeah. She cracks the whip, no question about it.
Oh,
So
totally.
it's that really is the core of the staff, and for as few hours, we're supposed to put in 50 hours a week between the 3 of us. But
that doesn't happen.
no, there's much more that many more hours that go into it. But it's in a good cause, and we're fortunate to have dedicated people, not just staff, but our 200 plus tutors and the folks who volunteer for things like the book sale and our fundraising efforts as well.
And you guys have a board of directors too.
We do.
From what I understand.
You should, because you're one of them.
I am.
Absolutely. And right now we have 13 on the board.
Okay.
A lot of folks who are dedicated to seeing that the program moves forward, and that we have both the resources that we need and the policy direction that is important to help us go forward.
Excellent. Now, one of the other things you and I need to talk about, how are you funded? Let's talk about money.
That's a great question. Money is what makes the world go round, and what makes literacy volunteers keep the doors open.
Okay.
We have a lot of different funding sources. Middlesex United Way provides about 1/3 of our funding on a year in, year out basis. They've been very supportive. We do have support from most of the towns in the district. We do have corporate sponsors who have been very generous to us over the years. People like the Clark Group in Essex and Tower Labs, Essex Community Fund, the Guilford Community Fund. So we have a number of sources that do provide us with funds on a year in, year out basis. Of course, we do apply for a number of grants that we've been fortunate to get. And we do fundraisers.
We do, but you know what? We might as well talk about fundraisers now, but we'll talk about fundraisers again later too.
Absolutely.
And let's see, I'm gonna rack my brain for a second. One of your major fundraisers is the road race.
Yes, it is.
And one of your other major fundraisers is, I think it's a wine tasting?
Wine tasting and auction that is coming up September 29th.
That's right.
At the Pavilion in Old Saybrook.
That's right. And tickets are available.
Either online at www.
He tries to say, go ahead.
vsliteracy.org.
Okay.
Or you can call the office at 860-399-0280.
And somebody's always there to answer the phone. And from what I also understand is you guys do a book sale.
We do.
Let's talk about books.
Okay. It is an important part of our fundraising. We do have gently used books that are 10 years old or newer.
Yes.
And both hardcovers and paperbacks that we offer. We do have an entire section that is children's and young adult books, and we have a special that coincides with International Literacy Day, which is September 8th, that any child or young adult who comes in can get a book free.
Really?
That's for the entire month of September.
Excellent, excellent.
Yeah.
And I was doing homework on the organization the other day, and I believe one of your other funding partners, shall we call them, is Community Foundation Middlesex County.
Absolutely.
How important are they to the organization?
They've been a great partner for us over the years. Not only have they been supportive with grant funding, and particularly for our tutor training program, but they provided us with resources as well, knowledge contacts with other folks who are working in the same area, facilitating partnerships with some of those other programs and nonprofits, as well as educational programs that they offer from time to time. So it's been a very productive partnership.
Now, as far as the local area goes, do you work with other executive directors from other literacy volunteers organizations throughout the state?
We do. We recently had a group of 6 the executive directors from the various programs around the state get together and develop an action plan to develop synergies between the groups. Things like getting more publicity, doing marketing statewide, working on grant funding, and potentially getting together a program like a video that we've done for our organization to get a broader exposure for all the Connecticut affiliates, who at this point serve close to 10,000 students statewide.
Really?
So it's pretty significant, and
wow.
An initiative that we're very excited about. We're looking forward to working with the other directors in moving things forward as a group.
Excellent. John Farrar from Literacy. We're going to take a short break. Would you mind sticking around?
Absolutely.
We'll be right back.
We need a new house because this one is too small. We need 37 bedrooms in order to accommodate the dramatic increase in children. Yale New Haven Children's Hospital. This new house will be more specialized in the rooms that we provide and much larger to accommodate the sheer volume of families who are going to need us.
Every day, the people in our community rally in support of United Way as we strive together to make a big impact to change lives in Middlesex County. From our main streets to our institutions, from our neighborhoods to our town halls and our classrooms, we're working with our partners to create a stronger community. It's an inspiring effort, and we invite you to join us. Volunteer, donate, live united.
And welcome back to this week's edition of the Pete Mezzetti Show, sitting here with John Farrar from Literacy Volunteers. John, from what I understand, we're about to see a short video about literacy volunteers.
Yep,
All
absolutely.
right. Chris, would you mind rolling the video?
My name is Carlos. I speak English in my work with my boss, with customers, more speaking with my teacher John. I make the application, then call me, say, okay, you can study English with John.
Literacy Volunteers is an organization whose prime mission is to teach English to people that either have no English skill or partial English skills so that they can better their lives. It's typically a one-on-one tutor relationship, tutor to student relationship.
Being a tutor, even if you've never been a teacher, gives one the ability to teach someone and enrich their lives by enabling them to be better equipped to speak English in this country where it's so important.
This is better for me. I understand the class, the programs. More important is the teacher.
He's just really dedicated to learning English. He, in fact, just asked his boss for a raise, and he did that in English with her because she doesn't speak any Spanish, and he was successful. It was really quite an accomplishment.
Our mission is to provide no-cost, confidential tutoring to students in 11 towns that we serve in the Valley Shore area to help them improve their reading, writing, and speaking of English to improve their life and work skills.
And welcome back to this week's edition of the Pete Mezzetti Show. John, we actually just saw a short video about literacy volunteers. Can you maybe explain to our viewers and listeners what we just saw?
Sure. This is a project that we're very proud to be able to do in conjunction with Justin Donay, who is a videographer in California, and actually is the stepson of our board president, Jack Smith.
Right.
And the wonderful thing about this video is that it tells the story of Carlos, who is one of our students.
Yeah.
He's from Ecuador. Carlos works 7 days a week, pretty much 12 hours a day, to send money home to his family with the hope at some point that he'll be able to bring them here.
Really?
And it is a testament to his commitment, his determination, that he carves out an hour and a half twice a week to work with one of our tutors, John DeViro, to learn English and to better himself, his life skills, his work skills. One of the things that is so remarkable about him is that despite the heavy schedule and the fact that he is under enormous pressure to continue to send money home to his family, leaving a little bit more than it takes to survive here for him. Carlos always has a smile on his face. He is always chipper and cheerful and willing to say hello to anybody. As John said in the piece, he one of the first things he did after about a year in the program was to go ask his boss, who speaks no Spanish, for a raise in English, and he was able to get it.
Excellent.
Since then, he's also been given a supervisory position.
Really? Good for him.
At his
Good
work.
for him.
He's a true success story, and one of the things that makes us proud to be able to offer this kind of a service. And he may not be, the perfect student, but he certainly is a perfect example of what somebody can do with determination and the wonderful help from the volunteers that we have in Literacy Volunteers. Exactly.
Now let's talk about I believe you guys have a workplace literacy program?
We do.
Let's talk about it.
Absolutely. It started about 12 years ago with a program that was a little less formal with Centerbrook Architects and Tower Labs. And they had a number of people who were struggling with English. And one of the programs that we worked with, particularly with Tower Labs, was to improve their skills in being able to understand safety instructions,
Yeah.
instructions from their supervisors. And it gave us a sense that there was a real need in the community to do this. We were approached about a year later by the West brothers who owned National Sintered Alloys in Clinton.
Sure.
And their need was to have their workers trained to be able to read and follow work instructions that were required under a certification program for Industrials Standards Act program, so that they could, as a company, get their certification. And while the program started that way and they successfully got their certification, we continue to work with their employees on both life and work skills, and we've had a number of successes there. Having students or having employees who came from other countries speaking no English at all, who have mastered English and gone on to supervisory positions with NSA. So that's been a very successful program. About 2.5 years ago, we received a grant from the Guilford Foundation to run a similar program, or to introduce a similar program to Guilford businesses.
Wow.
And we have built that up from a start of 2 businesses and 4 students to 6 businesses in Guilford now with almost 20 students.
Really? Wow.
It's really, yeah, it's
Good for
really
you guys.
developed.
Good for you guys. Now, what are some of the success stories that you guys have with literacy volunteers and your students?
Well, certainly Carlos is one.
Yeah, Carlos is one, but I'm sure there's more than one.
You know, there is, and
right.
I could go on for a while with this.
Well-
You know, we have several who have been kind of our spotlights. Araceli, who is a lady who came from Colombia as a school teacher,
Okay.
and who was well educated, but spoke no English at all when she came to this country. Got a job at National Sintered Alloys, and through working with her tutor, ended up not just learning English and acclimating, but she went from a line worker on the assembly line or on the manufacturing line to a position in quality control, to a quality control supervisor.
Wow.
And that's been 12 years now.
Wow.
So we worked with her for a long time. Sabrina, who came to us from Brazil, again speaking no English, and only the desire to learn. And she went from being basically orphaned here because her mother remained in Brazil, to gaining her citizenship, having her own business, and this past year starting college.
Wow.
So that's been a matter of 4 or 5 years that she's been in the program. So there are a number of successes, a number of stories that I could tell you like that, but it really is, through the help of our volunteers, the determination of our students and their commitment that really makes these kinds of success stories possible.
Now, as far as literacy volunteers and obviously funding and money, how's the forecast looking?
Well, times are difficult.
Okay.
Grant funding is more competitive than ever.
Okay.
I'm sure you're aware that there have been cutbacks at the state level, the state budget.
Oh, sure.
So it makes it all the more important that we go out and do fundraising, that we develop our own sources of funding, that we appeal to the community through membership drives and through donor recruitment to support the efforts that we've been making so that we can keep the program free and in complete confidence that we can do it one-on-one as opposed to a classroom-type setting, because we found it more effective if the student and tutor work together as a unit. And to go out and to develop as much funding from the towns and organizations like the Guilford Foundation, the Guilford Community Fund, the Essex Community Fund, the Community Foundation for Middlesex County.
There you go.
Those all those folks who have supported us year in and year out and believed in our mission.
You missed one.
I did.
Yes, you did.
I'm sure I would.
United Way.
Yeah, of course. Well, United Way has been our mainstay.
Yes.
As I mentioned before, they have provided us about a third of our funding over the course of the last 15 years, year in and year out. So they're very important to us.
John Ferrara, before we say goodnight, one more time, wine tasting, when, where, and why?
Okay, wine tasting and auction, September 29th,
Yep.
5:30 at the Old Saybrook Pavilion. Tickets are available at online at vsliteracy.org,
Okay.
and also by calling the office at 860-399-0280.
Yeah.
And we have lots of great auction items and some great wine
And we got some good food too.
and great food.
All right. Well, John Ferrara from Literacy Volunteers, thanks for coming down. We'll see you soon.
Pleasure. Thank
All
you,
right.
Peter.
On behalf of John Ferrara, I'm Pete Mezzetti. Thanks, good night, and we'll see you next week.